Isn't that movie a alien movie
Yeah.
with Keanu Reeves?
I don't know if it was Keanu Reeves. I was too young.
I think that was Keanu Reeves in the remake. But we are live.
Hell
It's
yeah.
going on Twitch. It's your boy Devin.
What's up is back.
We got we're doing it. It's just the two amigos this week. Uh,
Yeah, because Offset got.
Damn, bro, too soon.
Sorry.
Um. Anyway, so this week we are talking about another disaster movie. We're going to continue the disaster movie theme. And this week we're doing the best, in my opinion, the best disaster movie to ever be made, which is The Day After Tomorrow. Which, honestly, when I was watching it, I was like, this had to have been Al Gore's favorite fucking movie.
I was right.
He's like,
He's like,
finally,
I was right.
finally somebody's talking about climate
They should
change.
show this in science class.
Yeah. Which actually, I think I did watch this in science class at one point, and they were like, "Yeah, we're gonna watch The Day After Tomorrow." I'm like, "Fucking sick," like because I'd already seen it and I loved it. So, um,
Oh, yeah.
that's why, like I was saying, I have it on DVD because my uncle. I mean, when this movie came out, my uncle was all about it, and I remember I think he showed it to me and my mom, and we were like, "Whoa, this is a great movie." And so then when I heard we were watching it in science class, I was like leaning over to people like, this is about to be a good ass class.
You're like, first time?
Yeah. Like James Franco.
The Ballad of Buster Scruggs.
That's a great movie.
Mm.
But
But,
so the cast is Dennis Quaid, who
oh,
honestly I kind of wish I had looked this up before the podcast.
you didn't know, did you?
Maybe you could look it up, but Dennis Quaid, I feel like might be related to Randy Quaid, but I could be wrong. I almost want to say they're brothers, but they could be completely unrelated. I don't know. I'm going solely based off the fact that they have the same last name, and I think they kind of look like they could be brothers. In which case, I think Randy Quaid would be the older brother. But it's also got Jake Gyllenhaal, who's
Wait, did he play in. Sorry, go on.
who Randy Quaid.
Mm-hmm.
He was cousin Eddie in
Yeah.
Christmas Vacation. He's
Huh.
batshit crazy now.
Is he really?
Yeah.
That's what happens when you get a metal plate in your head and you might use the microwave.
So I don't. But I was like, I wonder if they're brothers, and I
I
know
don't think so.
I didn't get a chance to look it up, but. Jake Gyllenhaal, who really doesn't need a whole lot of introduction because Jake Gyllenhaal is mega star now.
He
And then
boned Heath Ledger.
he got I don't remember her name. I want to say it's like Emmy something.
I'll pull up the cast list.
Emmy.
Oh, Emmy Rossum from Shameless and Phantom of the Opera.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, or Rossum.
Very, very young, but and then you got a bunch of other people. There's a couple actors that I kind of recognize, like the one who plays Randy Quaid's wife. I think I've seen her in some stuff before. But those are like the notable actors. And unlike Volcano, I mean, these characters,
Good
I mean,
movie.
that, well, yeah, it's a good movie. But also, it's like the characters. I mean, I didn't think the acting in Volcano was terrible. It's just the writing. But the writing is so much better that these characters are way more believable. Um,
Uh-huh.
my only issue with rewatching this movie was I don't really understand what the hell Jack's plan was once he got to Sam. Because, like, the whole movie, he's like, we gotta get to Sam. Like, he might not have much time left. It's like, you get there, and the storm's still going. What's the next step?
Well,
How are you
they
gonna
were
improve the
fine.
situation at all?
I'm gonna go back to the Wendy's. We're gonna have a
Yeah.
pint of beer until the whole thing blows over.
Right. Like I was like kind of thinking like I don't really understand. And that's where I was like, okay, I guess I can kind of understand. He's just trying to get to his son, so he might not be using the most logical reasoning at the moment. He just wants to make sure his son's okay, but it's still like I know he seems like a pragmatic and smart enough guy that he would have probably came up with a more practical plan that wouldn't endanger his life on top of his son's.
Jason had a severe head injury, and he was thinking the most straight. He's like, like the chances of Sam being alive. He's like, never mind.
Right.
He's like,
But did
you recognize who Terry Rapson was?
Terry Rapson. I don't really
He was
remember
the professor.
Character's name. No.
It was Ian Holm played Bilbo Baggins.
Oh, in the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Yeah, and he also did the antagonist in Ratatouille.
Okay.
Great actor.
Yeah, I wouldn't have recognized him.
I fell in love with the movie the second I saw him step into frame. I was like, this is it sold me immediately. I was like, anything that he's in, I will advertise.
Was this your first time watching this movie, or?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Really?
I didn't know anything about. I thought it was the day after tomorrow, or I thought it was the day the Earth stood still, until I looked it up and realized.
So okay, I did not realize you hadn't seen this one. So what was your impression of the movie as someone who hadn't seen it before?
So I don't like disaster movies all too much. I don't know, they're just, Like Twister, I still think is probably the best one,
Yeah.
and we don't, and it's kind of hard to go from there because it was different. But I loved this movie. Like I found myself like I really watched it in its entirety and didn't really look away. And I think it's because it was more than just like lava melting shit. There was a lot of I guess you would say interpersonal struggle with it.
Yeah, there were
and they're following multiple storylines. Yeah, there was like the story that was happening, and then these there were actual subplots in the movie that are like, okay, it's not just ice hitting people on the head.
It's like the most epic in terms of scale. I mean, the whole Earth is being hit with the new ice age.
Well, New York.
Yeah, I mean, it seemed like an Avengers movie where it's just all in New York. Except LA did get hit with a fucking set of tornadoes at one time.
Oh, why does every janitor in like every movie have those headphones on with the antenna and they never remove them?
And it's like, what was he listening to? Because if he was listening to sports, they probably would have interrupted it with like breaking news. And so he had to have been just listening to like fucking some Celine Dion on CD, and it was on full volume because he couldn't hear the whole building being ripped apart.
I was really thinking he was just listening to like a thunderstorm like noise machine. These just like soothing sounds. One thing I did have an issue kind of with the beginning of this movie is, well, it's PG-13, so the kills weren't that gruesome. They were very, like, you didn't see anything. It was kind of sad. I was like, I think it would have been a little bit more, like, traumatizing if you saw, like, that guy, like, split in half over the escalator when he cut himself from the rope.
Dude, when that news guy gets whammed by the fucking sign. What
the fuck are they out there?
Well, Natalie was watching it with me, and she started losing it because he's like standing there, and he's like, it like looks like the tornado is directly behind him, and he's like, if you look behind me, it's a tornado.
It really was. He's like, and it's like destroying the entire downtown LA area, even though there's nobody in downtown LA to like warn about it because it just murdered everyone. And then it was just, they introduced all these characters who I thought they were going to build up to, like the guy in Japan. I thought we were going to like see him for a bit, and then he just gets hit on the head by an ice chunk.
Yeah.
The guy from Texas just got crushed in his Porsche by a bus. And then the two people in the office building, the lights went off and the building was gone. And he was like, we're standing on the 17th floor. And they're like, but there isn't a 17th floor. He's like, just the stairwell standing.
Yeah.
And it's like one of those moments, you know?
No, I do, but it adds to it because it does. It's like, and Volcano tried to do something similar, but I don't think it worked as well. And that was that they tried to have a lot of characters introduced at the beginning, but they all had importance. And I almost feel like they didn't do all the characters, because I feel like the police chief played by Keith David should have had a little more to his character in that movie.
Yeah.
Instead of just showing up in the middle of everything. They should have given him some like character backstory at the beginning too, but they didn't. All the characters in this get it, and then you like think they're all going to be important, and that's why it kind of adds when some of them just get knocked off right away. You're like, oh shit, okay. And so it gives like a little more face to some of the victims of the tragedy. And then the fact that it's like jumping around all these different like scientists and stuff, it adds to, it's like the whole world is kind of looking at this, like scientists all around the globe right now are like, what the fuck is happening? And it really adds to it. And I'm kind of curious how accurate this movie is when it comes to like the science of some of this stuff. Cause it's like, I know Interstellar, they like had special like astrophysicist guy on standby to like check the science behind a lot of the stuff in that movie, and I'm wondering how much of like something similar to that they had for this. Because I don't know how accurate it is. I honestly don't understand the science of why like everything started freezing in the middle of the eye of the blizzard, but I also don't know if a snow hurricane is a realistic weather occurrence. Although I did just find out about ball lightning earlier today. So
what?
Ball lightning? It's no. I saw a video of it and it looked crazy, and people were debating in the comments whether it was real or not. But basically what it is it's like this very ultra rare version of lightning where it's basically supercharged plasma that just levitates over the ground, and it glows and it moves, and if it gets close to like electrical stuff, it shoots lightning out of it and just like zaps whatever's near it to like not be on anymore. So it looks like some shit out of like a horror or like a Harry Potter movie or some shit, but it's like a real occurrence, but it's super rare. And I think some people even said it's just theoretical, but it's a real thing.
That's like a supercharged creeper in Minecraft.
Dude, the video, I'll see if I can find the video and send it to you. It's fucking wild looking.
That sounds amazing. I would want to touch it so bad.
Yeah, it's apparently extremely dangerous. And
it's like
apparently they say if you see one, you're not supposed to move because just the friction in your body can create enough electricity to draw it towards you.
Oh, dude, that's straight. That's some like Looney Tunes, Tom and Jerry bullshit. I'm like running away and it just keeps following you faster. But it's like I would ponder the shit out of that orb, you know?
Yeah, dude. It's fucking. It was, the video was cool, and that's why I was kind of hoping it was real, and at the same time I was thinking I hope that's not real, because that would be fucking. It was like over train tracks, so it's like going over these train tracks. It's like zapping the lights that it's going past and shit. And it was just crazy looking. But yeah, so I don't know. Maybe a snow hurricane is also possible. And if you're in the eye of it, shit freezes like super, super fast. But I don't know. I think, speaking of things freezing super fast, I was also wondering how, if those helicopters froze and crashed, and the guys froze before they could get out of the helicopter, and it was that cold there, how did anybody get there to analyze what happened and see this for themselves? How do they know about that? Someone would have had to go
like,
there.
It would spike at times. Like they would have the calm moments, and then it would like spike again.
I guess that's
true.
Like,
oh, what did you think? I have to ask. Like when they're like kind of hiking into New York, and they just start seeing all of the dead bodies that are just frozen.
It made me think of Buffalo a few weeks ago.
Oh my, yeah,
dude, I'm on this Facebook group called "Is That a Decomp Stain?" And it's like the whole page, I think, started out as like people posting pictures of stains that are shaped kind of like bodies, and they ask, "Is this like a stain from a decomposing body?" But now it's like people will describe something and then they'll put the pictures or video in the comments. Like one I saw, it was like, guy took a heavy artillery shell to the head in Ukraine. And then there's photos of it in the comment section. Or there was one where the person just posted it straight to the page. So I'm flipping through my feed on Facebook, and all of a sudden I just watch a woman's arm get crushed by a hydraulic press. And I'm just like, holy shit. But there was, when that blizzard was happening in Buffalo, there were people posting photos of the bodies that they were finding out in the middle of the street. It also made me think of the bodies on Mount Everest, because there's a bunch of people who die up there, and since it's so high up and it's so cold, there's no way really to recover the bodies, so they just like act as permanent markers now.
Yeah, they do. That'd be kind of cool, though, right? If you were one of those.
I don't think so. Also, what the fuck is happening with the audio?
I don't know.
Oh, that's no bueno.
¿Dónde está esos toques? Es muy delicioso. Eso sí que es.
All right, say something.
Something.
Okay, that seems to have fixed it. I don't know what that was. I hope that isn't coming through on the stream.
What did it sound like?
It sounded like every time you talked, it like sounded like your audio was just decaying.
I'm in Buffalo, apparently. Yeah, I remember when that hit, and we were watching it on the news, and my grandfather, who's like, he's deaf in one ear, so everything he says is loud as shit. He walks by the TV and goes, "Who the fuck would want to live there?" I was like, Jesus, like it's 6 a.m. I was like, you're just so rough. But it's like he's like living there, having that happen, and then choosing to still live there. He's like, why the fuck would you do that to yourself?
Yeah, I mean,
fair question.
I don't really, I wouldn't live in Buffalo, but I honestly wouldn't live anywhere in New York that wasn't New York City, so.
I would definitely live in other places of New York that's not NYC.
I just want to live in New York City for like a year.
No, fuck that.
That's like
I'll live outside New York City and go inside to do the things I want to do, but then get the hell out when I'm done.
No, I want the full experience.
You wanna? That's all fun and dandy. I did love that comment where he was like, "There's rats everywhere." He's like, "That's New York."
Yeah.
That was there. I do have some beef with this movie while it's out there. How the fuck did Laura not see that wave that's literally the size of skyscrapers? She's facing in its direction. She's like, I'll go back for her passport.
Focused on getting that bag.
Like, honey, the side hustle ain't worth it. Go back to your mans.
She's just feeling like a hero.
They would never have outrun that. They would have been dead, and then Dennis Quaid would have not had a son to find.
Well, and I love how he keeps stopping to look back at it as it's like crashing into the building. He like stops 2 separate times to look back over his shoulder.
It was so like there were a few moments to where I'm like, this is just like that. Why?
Oh yeah,
how?
Well, there's stuff that kind of took me out of it this time. Obviously, it's not as exciting as the first time you watch it, but it's like there was like a couple of exterior shots after the city got flooded that looked fake AF, and then also the wolves looked so bad.
I think the best looking animal was probably the bear.
Yeah.
Yeah, the wolves were rough, but it's a 2004 movie. They spent a lot of money, I think, on the like storms and the buildings in New York to like fuck it up.
Yeah.
But I did not have a hard time looking past the wolves this time. And I don't know if it's because I was just so like into the story at this point. Because in Volcano, I just didn't have anything to latch onto, so I
Yeah.
was just kind of looking at it more from just like I was picking it apart. But this one, it was so the story was there, and I got roped into it quickly, and I just
Yeah.
didn't really care so much because it's again, I need to watch more disaster movies. I'm not a huge fan of them, but this one I really did enjoy, and I probably would watch again.
Like I said, man, this is one of those movies I got from my uncle. I was like, "Fuck yeah, I got his copy of fucking Day After Tomorrow." I love this movie, and so I was like kind of curious. I wasn't sure if I had all my DVDs in here, but that one is in here, so I was able to just watch that version.
Oh yeah.
Um,
I will say though, I don't remember the guy's name from Volcano.
Tommy Lee Jones.
No, 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 no. He was the one that was saving the guy from the train or the subway, and he jumped
Oh yeah,
into the lot. He would never have made the jump that Jack made.
yeah,
And
no,
Jack made that shit twice.
yeah,
And I was looking at him like he would never have stood a chance. But
yeah.
also, it's like there is a part of me that would have loved to have seen him try to make the second jump, and he makes it like 2 inches from the original ledge and just plummets. Like there would have been a comedic factor to it, but then the movie just wouldn't have happened. Everybody would have died.
Yeah. Um, something I noticed this time around because it's been a minute since I've watched this movie, but I also I hadn't seen I hadn't noticed before the fact that at some point after the president leaves the White House, he dies.
Yeah. Oh yeah, when they were like the motor they really that's one thing I did like you said I did like about this movie though is because they did just kill people off and it was really sudden.
Yeah.
And cuz you see him they're like Mr. President like we have to go now and then it cuts immediately to them saying the president like the motorcade got stuck, they didn't make it so now the VP is president and he was kind of the one that caused all this and it seemed like the president leaned on him a lot because even he was coming up to him and he was like, "What should I do?" It was like a Bush and Cheney moment,
Yeah.
almost. And he's like, he has the power to do what he should do, and he knows that he needs to do now. It was cool.
Well,
He had a good redemption arc.
it didn't help the whole Cheney thing that he looks like Dick Cheney.
He does look like Dick Cheney. But he looks like he would accidentally shoot a man during a hunting accident. You know what I mean?
Well, after this, maybe not so much, but before, yeah, he definitely he gave me "I would shoot you in the woods" vibes.
I mean, yeah.
You made me look bad in front of the president. Hey, let's go hunting.
He's like, "Hey, Dennis, let's or Jack, let's go hunting for a little bit." Like, and it was a great spot out in the middle in international waters. Good.
Yeah, I just feel like I sound kind of weird through my microphone. I don't know. I can't tell how we sound on stream. I don't have it up at the moment, but
No, I always mute it because I cringe at the sound of my own voice. Hard, very hard.
Yeah, I still need to upload last week's episode when we talked about Volcano, but I think I'm gonna have to just do the audio. I'm just gonna have to make some sort of like title card to put over it because the footage does not line up with the audio at all.
As you should just go through and narrate for everybody, like the highlights.
No, just animate it.
Ooh, we need to hire somebody to start animating it, and then we might get some views.
We animate like best parts of the episodes, and then we upload that to YouTube.
And we describe the things that we were like, yeah.
We just need a fan. We need one person to get into our podcast that is like an animator, and then he'll be like, "Yeah, that's how it happened with the Whitest Kids," because the Whitest Kids, they started doing D&D campaign on Twitch, and so they do like an hour and a half long episodes. They did 10 of them, and then one of the fans was such a hardcore fan that he animated the whole first episode, and he's like, "I'll do all of them for you guys if you want."
I mean, I'm probably one of the whitest kids anybody knows. To be fair, so like, if there's anybody out there looking for some, looking to do some free labor.
Well, it's also funny. Speaking of the whitest kids, it's so funny. Thinking about the fact that like I've heard Zach Kreger say so much wild shit like as a
Mhm.
joke on the stream. And then after Barbarian came out and Hollywood started taking him super seriously, like some of the VODs got taken off of YouTube, and like and Zach says he doesn't have any idea what's going on and he's gonna have them re-uploaded. But everyone was like, "Oh, it's because of all of Zach's hate speech. He's got so much hate speech in it." Just because there was like a joke at one point that like Zach is terrible with hate speech, and so that they like kept making fun of him for it. And so now that those episodes are down, everyone's like saying there was a bunch of hate speech in them, and that's why he took them down because he didn't want Hollywood to cancel him.
You know they're right. You know they're so right.
No, there may have been some jokes though that he wanted to edit out. I don't know.
Oh, I wouldn't blame. Like in this day and age, whatever you need to do to make your career survive,
Well,
do
especially
it.
because like before Barbarian came out, it was like whatever. I mean, we're just like they hadn't really. None of them had really done anything big in a while. And then
They didn't really have bridges to burn.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest success out of the group was Trevor Moore. He had a bunch of stuff going on with Comedy Central, but then, I mean, he's dead now. So the Whitest Kids You Know, as it's known, I mean, after Mars comes out, which is a movie they funded by doing their streams. They started streaming on Twitch in like 2020 after the pandemic happened, so they kind of reunited. That was the first big thing in their career for a while. The all of them back together, got the funding together for another movie, and then they did all the audio for it because it's an animated movie. And then Trevor died. And so they're like, well, shit, now the Whitest Kids is pretty much dead with him because we can't see ourselves doing it anymore without him. And then, like, a few months after that, Zach's fucking movie takes off and is, like, one of the biggest movies of 2022.
See, I didn't know I didn't know he directed it?
Yeah, he wrote and directed it.
That's fucking amazing because, like, I know you sent me some of their skits, and that is a jump from like what they were doing to making Barbarian. But I also kind of see his comedic side coming through in that, with the whole scene of him measuring everything in like the basement.
Oh
like,
yeah.
He there is still like there is a relation to his old stuff in it. But it was my favorite movie of last year, I'm gonna say.
And the absurdity of like the whole mama situation in general.
Oh,
like
right? Because they didn't even try to make it like, oh, she's some creature. They were like, she's just so inbred that she's got like insane strength.
And then she's like the part where he's like, I've been living here for like 20 something years. She ain't never come here before. She ain't going to now. And then instantly bursts through the wall. Like,
and you knew she was going to. And then
it's really cheesy, but it's like it's also it's like self-aware in that it's like he wasn't trying to be like super serious with it, but yeah, it's definitely, you can see him. And I've been comparing him to Jordan Peele. I think a lot of people have, in the fact that he's a sketch comedian who has now jumped to creating awesome horror films, because he's gonna have another one. Hollywood is gonna want him to make another one now,
because he did the same thing. Like, I mean, I think that is an amazing comparison, is Jordan Peele, because right, he went from Key and Peele to making his first movie was Get Out, and it was a hit. And he's become a household horror name coming from a completely comedic background, and I love that.
Yeah. Well, and I think, like they say, comedy is like the hardest thing to do in that field. So if you can do comedy, I mean, you can pretty much do anything if you have the creative mind for it. It's like Bob Odenkirk going and doing some of the best acting I've ever seen in Better Call Saul. And then, also being able to turn around and do something like Nobody, which is way out of left field for him.
That is actually Nobody has become one of my favorite movies. My first experience of Bob Odenkirk was actually on How I Met Your Mother. And then I saw him as Saul in like Breaking Bad, and I just kind of started following him from there. I got started on him playing kind of like a funny role, into watching him be like a suburban John Wick.
Well, yeah, I saw something, and it could have been the thing I read was like a rumor. It might not have been actually true.
Oh, sequel to Nobody?
Well, yes, a sequel, but also that nobody is in the John Wick universe, and there's a potential that they may cross paths at some point.
They would either it's gonna be a like Batman versus Superman and a Godzilla versus King Kong scenario to where they spend the whole movie fighting each other, but then there is a they get third party like Fortnite, and then they team up to
Yeah.
defeat them, and they're like, "You all right with me?"
Yeah,
Like,
my only thought is that John Wick would absolutely run train on him.
my thing is, so I think that Bob Odenkirk's character's kind of got like a Home Alone vibe to
I
where
was
he
gonna
just
say
has all these traps.
he's really good at improvising though, which I mean John Wick is too, but I think not as much with like I mean
He's more professional, and this
yeah.
guy's like a nitty gritty government like rogue agent almost.
He's like so like John Wick would be 007 and Bob Odenkirk's character would be Jason Bourne.
What if we find out that Bob Odenkirk's character is actually Kevin, but like in the future?
Kevin McAllister.
Like, I was fucking jealous of him. And then he's also got his half brother and his dad on his side.
Dude, Christopher Lloyd in that movie.
That was my favorite. I remember showing my parents and my grandparents this movie, and the second he comes in with like a double barrel shotgun and is like walking around, they lost it.
When he's like killing that dude, and the nurse is like, "Okay, it's almost time for bed." He's like, "Okay," and he's like still strangling a dude.
Yeah, he's like Bob. He's like, turn that TV down. And he's like the Western movie, all the gunshots going on. He's like, sorry.
But yeah, so it's cool to see like comedic people do different shit. And that's I feel like a big proponent of that early on. I mean, it's kind of a different scene now in terms of what movies get made. There a lot of people talk about how cinema's kind of dead and that like you can't really make like artistic movies anymore. I just saw a movie at the theater a couple days ago called Cinemoth that would seriously beg to differ. That was one of the weirdest fucking movies I've ever seen. And it was really cool, but it was super artistic. But there's like a lot of like cooler, more creative ideas that get made into movies now, I feel like. And Adult Swim early on was doing like weird shit with comedians. Like Tim and Eric were making like really subversive, almost horror-esque shit way back in the early 2000s. And it's kind of like a precursor, I feel like, to comedic people being more open to experimenting with stuff like that, being allowed to.
So let me ask you then: is Sam Raimi more of a horror director, or is he more comedic?
Like
what do you think? Do you think he was like a funny guy when he was in school, or do you think he was?
Oh,
like,
I feel like
like
he was the class
weird
clown.
one. Because it shows it. Cause his movies, he didn't even like start with that background. Because of course, I know we're so off track, but I don't even fucking care, and I'm sorry. But Evil Dead was like strictly a horror movie, and then he started to make his own genre of like horror comedy. And so it's like he had to have been like, yeah, like you said, that kid in class, because that just came out of left field. I mean, because there was no like ease into it really. It just went from horror to Evil Dead 2 made me laugh my ass off.
Well, and it was also like I think the movie he made before Evil Dead was a straight up comedy horror.
I'm trying to remember what it was.
It was the Attack of Hamburger Helper. Because it was the inspiration for Ash's hand becoming a character in the second Evil Dead was because he had done a comedy movie where the hamburger helper is fucking trying to murder this housewife, and she like ends up fighting it, and it's like a super funny like fight it's like a 15-20 minute long movie. But and then Sam Raimi plays the milkman. He's got like a very small role. But I mean, I feel like it's kind of a mix for him being horror or comedy, because like Doctor Strange was
he added horror into it. To be fair,
horror-esque.
Marvel
Drag
They
Me to
always have to
Hell.
have their funny in it, and I love Marvel, I do, but he does add his horror. And the same thing with they talked about like on the original Spider-Man movies is that he always added an element of horror. And I remember still now to this day, Spider-Man 3 has one scene that has since I was a kid always made me jump, and
Oh,
it's take on this or whatever it is, but
the
it's
dance routine.
no, not actually the dance routine. I did you ever listen to like the behind the scenes when they narrate and he talks about like that scene where like Peter's like walking down the street and getting his suit and stuff?
No.
I want to get into it because he defends it so well, but I also see how it could have like it got mixed up so bad. But it's the ending scene and Peter's like they're in the construction building and he's like looking around because he hears Eddie Venom crawling around, and it's that initial scene of Eddie swinging down and like screaming. I for years I watched that movie so much because it's my favorite out of the trilogy, but it scared me every time. It always made me jump, even though I knew it was gonna happen.
Him dancing?
No, but anyway, about that scene, they were doing a Sam Raimi was talking about it, and he was mentioning that he's like it was always supposed to be goofy and funny because Peter, who has the symbiote now, and he's like getting his like negative aspects pretty much being amplified. He thinks he's like this hot. He thinks he's the hot shit now. Like he's walking around. He goes into a store and he buys a suit and he thinks he's just like the bee's knees, even though he got it from like a store that's closing down and they were already discounted. So he's like, it's supposed to feel wrong because Peter's always been just this really nerdy guy who he's just always nerdy, but now he thinks he's amazing, and whether it's true or not, I think that was the best defense of that movie, and like that scene in particular.
I'm gonna have
Watch
to
it because
rewatch Spider-Man 3 because that's actually I have Spider-Man 2 and 3, but
they're all on Netflix too.
I don't have Netflix.
Oh well, because I remember I bought like the trilogy collection at Walmart.
I have this fucking like 3-disc collector's version of Spider-Man 3.
Mm-hmm. Spider-Man 3 has always been one of my favorites, but hearing Sam Raimi talk about it and like what he was going for, I understand what he was shooting for, but I understand where it got confused.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely. I mean,
or
if
not
you're
confused
not
by the where people got confused and there was a misinterpretation.
well, I know a lot of people aren't like. There's a large majority of people who saw those movies who had never seen another Sam Raimi movie, so they wouldn't necessarily understand that it's not trying to be super serious all the time.
And I know I have nostalgia goggles, but I really enjoy that movie.
Hold up, I'm gonna go.
I enjoy it.
I'm gonna go grab another beer real quick.
You're really gonna leave me with all of our viewers, Devin?
My fridge is right there. It's like you.
Yeah, but the cake is right in front of the camera. Well, people, secret time. I haven't.
Sing a song.
Devin slapped my ass at the sub table.
Just sing
And
a song.
I tried to report him, but he's so high up in the company that he just got the case thrown out, and I could never press charges.
That is what happened.
You couldn't hear me, right?
I could, and that's what happened.
What's the point of the headphones if you can hear me all the time? So you're admitting to groping me.
Nobody's watching.
Yeah, but I'm gonna clip this and send it to corporate and get my settlement. Tom ain't gonna be happy about that. Jane Donato ain't gonna be happy, Devin.
Jane Donato.
I don't remember her fucking name. She came in and went, "You're doing a good job," as I was making jalapeno poppers. Remember when we started talking about The Day After Tomorrow, and now we got on to Spider-Man?
Yeah, well, honestly, this is another thing that I think going forward is going to be a lot more. We don't have to talk about the movie we're focusing on the whole time. We can as long as it's like movie or television related, I honestly feel like sometimes it's more interesting when we go on some of these tangents and we start
I
talking
like
about
it.
stuff like that.
It's
So
spur of the moment, and it's kind of more in particular. Like that was just kind of what I loved when we worked. Not when we worked together. When you were training me, is because we would start at point A and then just end up in like Y for no. We would
yeah,
skip B and everything, but we'd end up at Y for some reason.
yeah. So I feel like it makes the conversation more fluid. And honestly, since we're only focusing on one movie, it's not like
We have more room to talk about other stuff to try to fill in the
yeah,
time.
exactly. Because it's like there's only so much you can say about a movie like The Day After Tomorrow. It's not like it's not a cinematic like game changer or anything like cinematography wise. It's not like it's just a good movie. It's
It
overall
is.
it's like an entertainment. It's like I went and saw Megan a few days
What you
ago.
think? Yeah, tell me all about that. I'm genuinely curious.
Did you see it?
No, I really didn't know how to feel about it, but everybody's been praising it because it's like I correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think it takes itself seriously.
No, it does not. But it's
Okay,
also
good.
it's like I don't know, it was an entertaining movie. Like it wasn't anything like amazing. It wasn't a new story or anything. But it was the way they did it. It like yeah, it didn't take itself too seriously. It was the character was well enough designed that she was a little creepy while also being like kind of cool. And then the whole setup for how the scenario happens, it all made sense. So it wasn't a
Hmm.
bad movie. It also wasn't like the most amazing movie ever. It was just a really entertaining film. And it was like, if you're looking for a way to kill like an hour and a half, 2 hours, go to the theater and see it because it's a lot of fun. But just don't expect to like have your mind blown or like be like, oh, I've never seen anything like that. It's just an entertaining movie. And that's what The Day After Tomorrow is. It's just a really entertaining, well made movie.
Oh my fucking god.
And in a genre of disaster movies where they're always a fucking disaster. The Day After
Yeah,
Tomorrow kind of shines in that it's one of the few good ones.
and again, it's so weird. Disaster movies, I think, are overdone and cliched, 100%. But this one somehow like it found a way to be refreshing almost.
Well, yeah, that's it. But that's what, and this is what I was saying. Like, now imagine something like this. Like, imagine all the disaster movies you've seen before this, outside of maybe Twister and Armageddon, were pretty bad. But I'm like imagining like take something like Day After Tomorrow and elevate it even more. And you could
Cheers.
have like a really fucking amazing film with like some really interesting characters in really crazy situations.
Mm.
But it's like a market that I feel like has been kind of left untapped in the last few years because disaster
It's
movies
probably
at this
better
point
though.
have that stigma of not really being good movies.
See, the last one I remember, and I'm not counting Moonfall because it is more in depth than just disaster, but it would be Geostorm because I remember being like I was the summer before my senior year when that came out, or it was like right at my senior year when it came out, like 2018 or so. Um, but
Did you see that movie?
I did not. I tried to convince my girlfriend to go see it with me because but she was like no, and then that was the whole thing. Anyway, but no, I never saw it. It was weird. It had a
We're
Gerard
talking
Butler in it.
yeah, we're talking about good disaster movies. You want to take a wild stab at what this has on Rotten Tomatoes?
It's like 42 or 39.5.
I just googled it. It's a 17.
Fuck that. No, I have it pulled up. Rotten Tomatoes says it. Okay, I want to know what are you on Google?
Yeah.
My Rotten Tomatoes says 45%.
Hold on, let me click on the actual link.
The audience scores 50%, which is 50%, which is surprising. I
Are
really
you
thought it'd
looking
be
at
higher.
a different Geostorm, or am I looking at I'm looking at
You're
the
looking at Geostorm. I was still looking at Day After Tomorrow.
no, yeah, I'm looking at Geostorm.
Oh yeah, Geostorm
Geostorm's
has a
got a
17%.
17%.
Yeah,
I'm actually kind of.
Krampus has scored higher than the audience, which is surprising.
I'm kind of surprised that. Do you still have your shit up from when we did the Christmas movies?
No, Krampus literally just showed up and it was like, you might also like this, which I never looked up the audience scores. It was just random.
But I was about to say, I'm kind of surprised Day After Tomorrow doesn't have a higher score. What's the audience score?
It was really good. It's 50%, 49%. I still have it up. Give me 2 seconds.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised that it's not higher.
So I wanted to ask you, do you know who Dennis Quaid's child is?
I do not.
It's Jack Quaid, who plays
oh, that's right.
Stewie.
I remember
when you were saying you didn't realize, I'm like, did you not know that's fucking Jack Quaid's dad?
No, I forgot about. I saw that at one point, and I was like, oh shit, that makes sense. But I completely forgot about that.
And his mom is Meg Ryan, who he's seen fake an orgasm on screen.
Dude, nepotism babies. I swear, there's such a thing in like I don't know why this like article came up recently. It was something about nepo babies and how they're super prevalent, and I hadn't really thought about it before, but it's crazy how many actors and actresses are actually like somebody's son or daughter.
But isn't it better you don't realize that until after? Because then you you love them for what they've done and not who they should be.
Well, yeah, exactly. But still, it's like the only person who I like looked at them and was like, oh, that's so-and-so's daughter was Maya Hawke. I was like, the second I saw her, I'm like, that's fucking Uma Thurman's daughter.
I would fucking throw everything away for her in an instant. You don't understand, like, it's like I'm actually not going to say this. Day After Tomorrow has a 50% audience score now. Maya, if you're watching, if you're the only other person in here, then...
No, yeah, so...
if you're Emma watching, I never said these fucking words.
She literally looks like what you would get if you took Uma Thurman and Ethan Hawke and put them into, like, a machine.
Like, she has, like, Uma Thurman's, like, nose and, like, her face, like, build. But there's something about her that looks like Ethan Hawke.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it is, though.
It's fucking
But it's
crazy.
recognizable.
So she's the only one where I look at him and I go, oh, yeah, right away. I didn't even have to look it up. I'm like, is that Uma Thurman's daughter the first time I saw her?
She looks so much like her.
Wyatt Russell is a very different case where, like, I saw his name, I saw his face, but it literally took me an article telling me that he was Kurt Russell's son, where I'm like, oh, that makes so much sense. He actually really looks like him too, but it didn't strike me at first when I saw him.
Bert Kreischer was talking about, and I'm going to look up Kurt Russell real quick so I can get the names right. He was talking about, he was on a podcast with Kurt Russell's daughter and her son, his son, and
nice.
Excuse me, yeah, it was. And he was talking about like the vacations they used to take and stuff. Maybe it's like a second daughter. Or maybe it's like a stepdaughter. They don't have them listed, but it was crazy because he was talking about like just like they were talking about like vacations and stuff they would take as a kid, and he's like, "That's insane," because he's like, you don't realize it until you're talking to them. He's like, but that is like, she's talking about being on vacation with Kurt Russell, and like that entire like dynasty of a family, pretty much.
Right.
And what was the movie that you saw Wyatt Russell in that made you like realize?
No, it was an article I read about him. It was after Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Oh my god, really?
Yeah, and I had seen him in a few things like Overlord. I think I had seen him in something else.
Goon 2. Goon. Last of the Enforcers. It's a hockey movie. One of my favorite movies has got Sean William Scott in it.
They made a second one?
Yeah, Wyatt Russell's the main antagonist in it.
I saw the first one. I absolutely loved the first Goon.
That's the movie that made me fall in love with hockey.
I did not know they made a second one.
Yeah. Wyatt Russell looks more like his dad when he has a beard. Because he looks like him in The Thing.
Yeah, yeah.
When you see him in Goon, it clicks. Yeah. Like, he's blonde, but he has that, like, fucking just weird, like, hunting down an alien in the snow look.
He had the similar look in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. He had a beard, and that's when
not as much
as
I
guess, but it still, I do remember after I read that article, I like thought of an image of him from Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I'm like, okay, that makes sense. That is Kurt Russell's son. But there's just so many of those actors, like Jack Quaid, who honestly, I mean, I don't think he really looks like Dennis Quaid at all.
He
And
looks more like his mom,
I don't know who his mom is.
Meg Ryan.
Oh, is it Meg? I see. I can't really put a face to Meg Ryan. I don't think I've seen a single movie of hers outside of, what was it You've Got Mail? Was she in that with Tom Hanks?
Evan, what the fuck have you been doing with your life? You've seen so much, but you've missed so. Like, everything you've seen, there's just a subgenre of, like, I don't know what the fuck's going on in this corner.
I'm working on it, all right? It's part of why we do this podcast, so we can expose ourselves to movies we haven't seen before.
I'm gonna need you to send me some horror recommendations, by the way. Not for me, but for someone who wants to get more into it. And movies in general.
Dude, I can send you the list I have that I made for Natalie.
Please.
I made a list. It's like a checklist that I shared with her. So if I add a movie to it, it just adds it on her phone on the list. And then when she watches one, she checks it off. I get an alert that says that she watched the movie. And I have this entire fucking list. I can go through a bit of it right now. There's like so many good ones on here. Dawn of the Dead, 1978, Misery.
It's okay.
Both Suspirias, Scream, Aliens, Alien, From Dusk Till Dawn, Fargo, True Grit, Drive. I just showed her Drive the other night. Burn After Reading, No Country for Old Men, The House of the Devil, It Comes at Night, Fight Club, Army of Darkness, Back to the Future 2, Ghostbusters 2, Ghostbusters Afterlife, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Temple of Doom, The Last Crusade, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Fuck you guys, I love that movie.
No, I love that movie too.
The Thing, Werewolves Within, Misery, Dawn of the Dead, 1978, The Town, Across the Universe, 28 Days Later, 28 Months Later, Disturbia, Mandy, Taxi Driver, The Godfather 1 and 2, Casino, Shutter Island, Inception, Memento, Batman Begins, the entirety of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Sorry to Bother You, The Ballad of Buster Scruggs, Blade Runner 2049, The Hurt Locker, It Follows, The Guest, Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, 1980, Halloween, okay, Halloween 1978 and Halloween 2007 and Halloween 2 from 2009. The newest Halloween, just the first one from that new trilogy. Fury, The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, Orphan, Wanted, Kick-Ass, Heavy Metal, Grease, The Wedding Singer, The Longest Yard, Little Nicky, Armageddon, Planet Terror, Deadpool 2, Super 8, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, Unbreakable, Glass, The Sixth Sense, Big, The Nice Guys, Red State, A Ghost Story, Spaceballs, Swiss Army Man, Red Rocket, The Room, Disaster Artist, Psycho Gorman, Hobo with a Shotgun, Pink Flamingos, which the climactic scene in Pink Flamingos is somebody actually eating dog shit. Cannibal Holocaust, Clerks 2, Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, American Werewolf in London, 1917, Birdman, The Martian, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, Funny Games, which is the most fucked up movie I've ever seen, Ready or Not, Cloverfield, 10 Cloverfield Lane, Spree, Ex Machina, Dog Day Afternoon, Scarface, The Final Girls, Watchmen, Dazed and Confused, Wet Hot American Summer, 40-Year-Old Virgin, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, Bone Tomahawk, Attack the Block, The Goonies, and Old Boy. The movies on the list that she has seen so far since I made this is The Place Beyond the Pines, The Big Lebowski, Alien, Under the Skin, Evil Dead, the remake, the original Evil Dead 2, Back to the Future, Ghostbusters, Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, The World's End, Gremlins, Tropic Thunder, which she didn't like, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, The Dark Knight, Clockwork Orange, 2001: A
Devin,
Space
what the
Odyssey,
fuck?
Saving Private Ryan, Blues Brothers, Deadpool, E.T., Poltergeist, Split, Castaway, The Hangover 1 and 2, Everything Everywhere All at Once, Good Time, Dogma, Tusk, Beetlejuice, Coraline, This Is the End, Spider-Man from 2002, Spider-Man 2 from 2004, Clerks, Human Centipede, Saw, Paranormal Activity, The Death of Dick Long, Knocked Up, John Wick 1, 2, and 3, and Hocus Pocus.
So can I just say that two people sat here and listened to that the entire time? Whoever you are, send me your PayPal and I will give you each $5.
But I literally sat down and I just made a list. And I was like thinking of all the great movies that I love. And I was trying to think of ones that she hadn't seen. Because this started because she was like, I'd never seen Back to the Future. And I'm like, you've never seen Back to the Future? And there were like 2 or 3 more times that happened the same day. And I'm like, all right, fuck it. I'm making a list. And so I made that list and I sent it to her. And since then, I've just been trying to educate her on some great movies.
Education is important.
And then honestly, Sam showed us a movie the other night that was fucking wild called I think it was The Ballad of Baron Munchausen was the name of it. But it's by
I was going to say that James Franco movie again, but like I know that's not the name.
No,
it's so close.
It's a Monty Python movie I had never fucking heard of before. And it was wild. I thought it was just going to be a stupid kid's fantasy movie, and then we're sitting there watching it, and I'm like, why does this look so much like a Monty Python movie? And then I asked him, I'm like, why does this look like a Monty Python movie, and why is Eric Idle in this so much? Is this a Monty Python movie? And he's like, no.
Eric Idle?
And then I look it up, and I'm like, oh my god, this is a fucking Terry Gilliam movie. This is a Monty Python movie, but it's like a way more family oriented one, and it's like so fantastical, and it was a really cool movie. The only thing that took me out of it was it's like a medieval type of movie. It's like a fantasy setting. And at one point, they're like walking through the village, and in the background, you see a guy wearing a jacket that says King Kong lives. And I like saw it instantly and was like, look at this fucker's jacket. I made him pause the movie, and
that's all, like the fucking Chariot and Gladiator, or the plane in Troy.
Yeah, dude, it was hilarious. But it was a really cool movie. And so while I'm trying to educate them on some movies, they're showing me some movies like Volcano.
I will never say her name while telling this story because I don't ever want my teacher to get fired. But I remember trying to watch Monty Python for the first time because my friend Kaylee loved that movie. I didn't understand it. I couldn't find it funny.
Which one?
And I remember Holy Grail.
I was going to say that's the big one.
I love that
there's
one.
A few.
I need to watch like Life of Brian. I need to watch the one you're talking about.
Baron Munchausen, I highly recommend. It's got Robin Williams in it.
Fuck yeah! I'm watching in a heartbeat. Everybody loves Robin Williams,
dude. Robin Williams.
And if you don't, you're actually a piece of shit,
dude. We're watching this movie, and I'm like, I'm already trying to understand what happened because I came in like 30 minutes into the movie. I got home and they had started watching it, and I kind of sat down and got sucked into it. And I'm trying to understand what's happening. And all of a sudden, a fucking planet shows up and turns around, and it's Robin Williams. And I'm just like, what in the fuck? And then Uma Thurman shows up, but she's like fucking 16 in the movie. Like, it's wild. It was a very fun watch. After I sat down and started watching, I was like, all right, this is pretty cool.
Hey, can you do me? Oh, I remember. Never mind. But a teacher in my high school, who is my favorite teacher, she's the reason like I've done the things I want to do. I was talking to her about Monty Python. I was like, I just don't understand the movie. I'm like, I got to the scene where they're digging in the mud and like Arthur rolls up on them, and I was like, it's just so fucking stupid. I'm like, it's not even funny because I was like, as somebody who has like no brain cells and will literally laugh at fart jokes, I'm like, I don't find the movie funny. And she looked at me and she was like, the first time I enjoyed that movie, she was like, I was in a different mind frame or like a set of mind.
Yeah.
And she's like, that's where you need to be. And by God, I watched that movie in a good state of mind, and I have adored it ever since. And it has been one of the funniest fucking movies to me.
Yeah, I watched it with Zave for the first time, like actually sat down and watched it like 2 years ago, and I really enjoyed it. I still don't think it's as funny as a lot of people say it is, but I did enjoy it. Um, but yeah, overall, I'm not as big a Monty Python fan as a lot of other people. Funny enough, we were talking about the Whitest Kids You Know earlier. They say their biggest inspiration is Monty Python. And they actually said that they ran into a few of the guys from Monty Python at a party in LA once, and they like came up to them and introduced themselves, and those guys were like familiar with their work and were like, "Yeah, not the biggest fan."
Never meet your heroes, people, man. Never meet your heroes. I am so scared to meet Bruce. I'm terrified of the idea of meeting Bruce Campbell.
Yeah, well, I met one of my heroes once. I met Tobacco.
Who?
He's one of my favorite musicians. And I
Oh,
went to one of his concerts once, and he was hanging out by the stage afterwards. And I walked up to him, and he signed my vinyls, and he was really cool. But then he was like also in the middle of like the venue was treating him like shit. So it was like the second his set was over, they were trying to set up for some Jamaican karaoke shit, I guess. So he's like trying to sign stuff and talk to fans, and they have a literal ladder over him trying to like take shit down off the walls and set up for this karaoke thing. And he's just like, "Can we get like 25?" I'm like trying to talk to him, and he's like, "What the fuck is going on?" And it just like turned really weird, and then I was like, "Well, thank you. You're like one of my heroes." And then that was it. But it was just like the whole interaction was really, he wasn't like a dick or anything. It was just, it didn't turn out the way I thought it would. And then I was like kind of bummed.
that sucks, dude.
But at least he didn't turn out to be an asshole or anything.
I remember I was so my friend, a band who I have come to love, like I was into them at the time, but like wasn't as big into them as I am now. Trivium. I fucking adore this band. And my friend, we saw them at Rock on the Range when we were 18. Their show got like shortened, but we got front row and we're like getting pushed up against the bars pretty much. It was amazing. And then that same summer, he was like, I found they're playing at this place in Charleston called the Bakery. He's like, the tickets are like $25 a piece. He's like, let's go. And I was like, I'm so down for that. So we show up, we get there, we're in line, and literally as we're waiting in line, the fire marshal shows up and goes, "Hey, this place isn't up to code. You can't play here." So we're like, "What the fuck do we do now?" They were like, "Oh, well, they're going to be playing down so and so in Charleston." So we walk there, complete bullshit. We go back to the car that is at this place called the Bakery because it used to be like a legitimate bakery. And what they did is, because it was kind of a small venue, they came out and met every single person, took photos, did autographs for everybody because the show got canceled last minute. I remember they even posted on their Instagram. They had gone to a fan's house that did music, and they had like egg cartons up on the walls for like sound, like soundproofing it.
Yeah.
So like the acoustic sounded better, and that was a huge turning point. I wish I had gotten a photo with him, but I shook his hand. It was such a nice guy, but like for a band to do shit like that, and that you understand, to just come out and like understand that the fans are people, it was amazing. Because like we drove like 45 minutes, an hour away, but people probably came from however far, and instead of just like packing up and leaving, they went out and took the time to meet everybody. Like I remember people pulling out like penny boards, and then they were just having them like sign their phone case, and I was like, looking at my buddy, I was like, I wish we had our longboards on us because we skated at the time. I was like, I would have loved to have had him sign that and then just had it forever, because I've fallen in love with that band because I met him at that one point in time, and like even if he's a piece of shit, he still was nice enough to fucking stand out there for however many hours and just meet with people.
Well, that's like how I feel about I can't remember how old. I think I was turning 18 or 19, but my mom took me to Comic-Con for my birthday. And that's where I met Norman Reedus from The Walking Dead.
Mm-hmm.
And I met Giancarlo Esposito from Breaking Bad and a bunch of other shit. And it was like the pictures for Norman Reedus were like really expensive. And I literally was I shook his hand and I got a photo with him. And then I didn't really get to talk to him at all. And it was over within like 10 seconds. And we were like, wow, that's cool. I guess we got a photo with him. But yeah. And then I paid $50 to meet Giancarlo Esposito, and he was the nicest fucking guy. And he like stood there, and I got to talk to him for like, I got to talk to him for like 5 minutes about Breaking Bad, and then after that, he took a photo with me, and then he signed a picture of him I had bought from a different stand. And it was just like, he was so fucking cool, and it was like you could tell that he just loved the fans and the fact that he had fans, and so he like took the time with each fan. And that's where great. Like I love when artists are able to appreciate their fans like that, as opposed to just kind of shitting on them.
Oh, speaking of that, by the way, I think those HorrorCon tickets are good for 2 years for any convention, by the way. I bought my friend an entire, like, I bought him like a weekend pass, or maybe just a day pass. I'll check, because I wanted him to go with me. But if it's a weekend pass and there's another convention that comes in town, just go with me. I'll give you that ticket.
Well, I already have. Oh, well, I guess I only have a 1-day pass. So
that's the thing. If it's more than 1 day, let's just use that ticket. And if another one comes into town that you really want to, you can use your 1-day pass.
Okay.
But what fuck was I gonna say? I was gonna ask you, are you going to that Meet Bruce Campbell thing?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
If I have something shipped to your house, would you try to get it signed by him for me?
Yeah.
If you could.
Yeah.
Because I have an Army of Darkness comic that I have like stored. I don't want it to get damaged, and I wanted to get it signed by Bruce Campbell before he canceled. And like that is my thing. Is like I want him to sign that fucking comic for me, because it's just, I watched that movie when I was like 12 years old, and I have been in love with it ever since.
Yeah, send it to me, and I'll try and get it signed.
I have to buy one off eBay and have it shipped to your house, but we'll talk about that more. I just wanted to ask you before I forgot, because I just scatterbrained.
I think I'm gonna just have him try. I'm gonna try and have him sign my copy of Army of Darkness. Either that or Evil Dead. But my copy of Army of Darkness is just Army of Darkness. My copy of Evil Dead is both Evil Dead 1 and 2. But it's like just one of those like cheaper like double feature packs. It's not like a special collector's edition or anything.
Fair. God, I actually was like distraught when I found out he was gonna be there. Well, and I can't make it.
It's so crazy too, because the timing, it's literally the day the new Evil Dead comes out.
I'm so excited to come up and watch that with you guys. Oh my God, I'm going to lose it, because I'm so excited for that movie. I sent my girlfriend that trailer because I want to see it with her. And she was watching it, and she's asking me all these questions, and I'm like, I haven't introduced anybody who hasn't seen that series. I haven't introduced anybody to that series in so long, so I haven't gotten all these questions that make me excited, because I'm like, you don't know anything about this, and let me just like smother you with information. It's amazing. Like, it's like what you did with me, essentially.
Well, and there's a movie I literally live right next door to a movie theater. Like, you can't really see it, but if it was daylight, you would see like a brick wall through this window. That's the wall of the movie theater. It's a little artsy movie theater. It's called the Grandview Theater. They have one screen. They're currently renovating to add a second screen so they can show 2 movies at once. But like, so all last week they've been showing Megan, and I think it's going to change this weekend. But I'm hoping they show the Evil Dead there when it comes out. There's a strong possibility they won't. Because I think both that and Ari Aster's new movie, Beau is Afraid, come out the exact same day. Mm-hmm. So, which I'm thinking maybe double feature. See two movies at the theater because I am a big fan of Ari Aster's work. But
Yeah.
I have a feeling that they might show that over Evil Dead, but I could be wrong because I think Evil Dead's gonna draw more asses and seats.
It's weird how many people have like fallen in love with these movies and so like in the past few years. And I don't know if that comes from the remake or the TV show or what.
I think it's a mix of both, and then also just the availability of them now. Like instead of like before, for the longest time, like for me, my uncle introduced me to it, and for a lot of people, it was like either one of their older siblings or a cool uncle or something like that. Like somebody introduced them to it, but now it's
Yeah.
like they're all on streaming services, so people are just kind of stumbling into them, and then they're like, "Whoa, this is awesome." And then they see that remake and they're like, holy shit, this is intense. So now you have this new one coming out, and I feel like it's gonna do really well. Now I could eat fucking shit on this statement and it could do horribly, but
I think I'm gonna love this regardless though,
oh
because
yeah, I
I'm
will
just
too.
such a I will fucking this is gonna be graphic. I will come over anything that they release with the Evil Dead title on
Yeah,
it.
yeah. I mean,
Essentially, like there's no way to put it other than I'm a fanboy. I love these movies.
well, and it's cool too. This one, so I've shown Natalie the Evil Dead and the Evil Dead 2. I still have yet to show her Army of Darkness, and then me, her, and Sam are gonna sit down and watch all of Ash versus the Evil Dead, because this new one takes place in that timeline. It's not in the timeline of the remake; it's in the universe with Ash in it. So
So it's after. Oh my god, that's awesome because I know he's done with it. So they're like, it's after he's done. Is I wonder if they're gonna say like mention him at all, like if he's dead or not.
there's a
So it's
potential. I mean, there's a potential. He's not gonna be in it. I think he's been very clear about that. But they haven't said anything about Kelly. They haven't said anything about Paco. So
Pablo.
or Pablo.
Devin, you just
Paco.
came off a little racist, buddy.
I couldn't remember what his name was. I feel like he called him Paco at one point.
He probably did, but that's also like his character.
Yeah. But so it's been a minute since I've seen the series. I need to rewatch it. And that's why I want to rewatch it with them because they haven't seen any of it. But so there's a potential that either of them could show up in this new one. Although I don't think it would make a whole lot of sense.
No, and I hope they don't because they come from the comedic side of the series, and this one looks so fucking scary.
Yeah.
Like genuinely scary.
Dude,
and I kind of hope they don't because I think it would break that immersion for
yeah.
me.
The scene in the trailer where she's looking through the peephole and her
Oh
mom's
my
just like,
god.
open up now.
Yeah, she's like, Mommy, you don't look good. She's like, open up now.
So she's like, you don't look so good, and she's like, nothing a big old kiss from you wouldn't fix. It's just
Dude,
so fucking creepy.
It is
like perfect.
Oh my, because it's. I remember. So I sent her the trailer, and she had texted me, and she was like, "I just have a few questions." I'm like, "Hit me with them. Like, I'll do the best of my ability to explain them." She's like, what was up with the elevator scene that looks like The Shining? I'm like, these movies have always been gory, and they always try to like one up each other. It's like the last one, they made it literally rain blood. So I'm like, yes, and I'm sure there's like a certain like respect and homage they're paying to Stanley Kubrick with that scene.
Yeah.
Even if there's not, they're gonna say it is because it's just you can't have an elevator spilling with blood and not say that it's obviously a reference to The Shining because it just coined that like scene.
Well, you know that it's a little ADHD of me, but that just made me think of something from the Last of Us series.
Okay.
So
Tell me, I don't care.
There's a scene. It's early on. It's when shit is first popping off, and they're trying to get the hell out of Austin, Texas, and this cop car crashes into another car and divides Joel with Tommy. Tommy and Joel are on either side of this collision, and now they're separated. And so they're like, well, you go that way, I'll go this way, and we'll try and meet up somewhere. And it was like, I don't remember that happening in The Last of Us, the game, but you know what I do remember that happening in? Resident Evil 2. I think it was a straight up homage to Resident Evil. Because And I could be just it could be stretching, but I feel like it's almost like they're making homages to other iconic zombie games because they know it's like we're the first adaptation to really do video game adaptations right. So why not throw in nods to other iconic games people love to give them a little bit of something in at least one good video game adaptation?
Because Halo fucking ruined it.
Yeah, dude.
Dude, the fucking cardinal rule is Master Chief doesn't take off his goddamn helmet, and what do they fucking do?
They show his ass. They show his whole ass.
They showed his fucking
cheeks.
rear helmet.
Yeah. So I mean, it's just like I'm never. I'm always a fan if something is gonna do it well. A property referencing other properties, and it did look like in the Evil Dead trailer they were referencing The Shining with that scene. Another thing I really like, and it's very odd that I'm so drawn to it, but it's the I'm guessing it's the son's setup, but he's got these like really grimy, really badass looking fucking speakers like mounted on his walls, hooked up to his record player. And then the fact the audio recordings from Dr. Nobi are on a fucking vinyl record.
He's gonna be the one that plays them and unleashes the evil.
Yeah, so it looks awesome, and then since it's vinyl, it's got like that cracky vinyl sound to it.
Yes.
So it sounds so fucking cool when it's playing. And it's like it gets really fucking loud. Like it just like everything aesthetically about this new Evil Dead looks fucking perfect. And I'm so excited.
I'm gonna make an assumption right now. It's gonna be the son playing it on his vinyl, and all of the audio gets cut from the movie except for him talking and speaking the words, and it's gonna cut from every other person in the apartment complex, like that's in the movie that's focused around, to the mother, and then the evil just running its way and like possessing her.
Well, and I think what happens is because have you watched the Green Band trailer?
No, I think I've only watched. I need to watch I can't find the one with the cheese grater and the scalp.
That's just the Red Band trailer.
I watched the Red Band and it didn't have it in it. I need to like search for more of them.
Hold on, I'll send it to you right now.
I really appreciate that.
I've watched it like 10 times, but there's a Green Band trailer, and the Green Band trailer shows more because it shows different stuff. Like it's
because it can't be the graphic ass.
Yeah, so they show like her stepping out of an elevator and getting possessed when she's coming out of the elevator, and stuff like that, which they don't show at all in the Red Band trailer. They don't show any of that. So I assume what's gonna happen is he's gonna play it. So watch this real quick. I kind of want to see your reaction while you watch.
What'd you send it to?
I just texted it to you.
Okay. Can you handle this? I need to use the restroom real quick. I'll watch it while I'm in the bathroom.
Well, no. I want to see your face while you watch it.
Listen, you're about to see my face, but it's not emotions of a man going through stuff. It's emotions of a man holding pee.
Well, go pee, and then we'll watch it.
Yes, sir. Sorry, Dad.
I mean, if you don't want to, we don't have to. But I just kind of wanted to see your face.
No.
It sounds.
I just gotta pee.
It sounds like you saw the Green Band trailer.
I saw the one originally that you sent me.
I think that was the Red Band trailer.
I might have been in class.
Okay.
When I watched it.
Go pee. This man going to urinate himself. So I don't know. I don't think I can't. Let me pull this up. Actually, let me see if I can. I might still be logged in. Am I still logged in? I am. So let me go. The creator dashboard. All right. So I don't really think there's anybody watching right now. But if you are, I'm kind of curious what you guys think of the new format for the stream here. A little more freeform with a focus on one movie If you are here and you're watching, let me know what you guys think.
Okay. I'm back.
All right, yeah, go ahead and load up that trailer. I'm gonna.
Do you want me to mute myself so it doesn't like play through the mic?
No. I kind of want to. It's fine. You're
Because I
good.
have my phone at like full volume all the time because I'm deaf as shit.
Oh, I'm the same way.
Okay, so I'm literally 9 seconds in, and it shows her walking up to the stove, and the only one I really remember because it's even the one I sent M, and it was her sitting. It was her turning the stove on originally, and then putting like a pot down on top.
Yeah, this one's
But
a
it
little.
still said red band, so I'm guessing there's like a couple of those. I remember the eggs, but this is different. She still kind of looks like the girl from the reboot, the girl with the black hair in this trailer. Why can't I think of her name? She's from Suburbia.
All I could think about was how much I wanted to cut you all open.
So let me ask, what do you think the scene from like out in the lake is? Do you think it's like a flashback?
I think it's gonna be the opening of the movie, and it's
To
gonna
see that, or like it tells how this book got to the apartment?
Yeah, that's what I think it's gonna be. It's gonna be that book ends up from there in the apartment somehow.
Okay. The scope. Sorry. I'm so fucking excited for this movie. Like, I don't remember the last time that I was genuinely like counting down the days to.
That's what we were saying here. Me, Natalie, and Sam were all so excited for this fucking movie.
Like, I was 12 when I first got into this series, and I will be pushing. I'll be like days away from 23 by the time I watch it. I love that they've kept the tree branch look of like the title cards in between the scenes, and they've always stayed focused around the woods because that's where it started. Oh, my God. I'm so excited, Devin.
That looks so good, Mom. Big old kiss.
Oh yeah, the tattoo gun. I'm gonna like actually cover my eyes during that scene. Fuck, dude. I haven't seen this one. I've heard everybody talk about it. But yeah, where she eats the glass. And then the teeth on the book actually remind me of the Harry Potter movie where they had like the monsters. Yeah. It was Prisoner of Azkaban.
Yep.
But yeah, I remember she was asking me a ton about the bathtub scene. That's what she was most confused by. And I was like, there's only speculation on why I think the water was like steaming and boiling. But the jumping out is a normal thing for the series.
No, the steaming and boiling, I don't know if you remember. It looks like... Okay, so here's...
The abomination from the remake that was like literally burned her when she grabbed her, Jane Levy.
Well, no, if you remember, there were steps to awakening the possession initially.
Boiling yourself alive.
And boiling yourself alive was one of the first things she had to do to really open herself up to the power. Because when she set the shower to like scalding her skin, and her skin was like melting off in the shower, that was right before she fucking started really fucking people up.
So do you think that the evil like possesses her in that elevator scene, then she like finds her way to like the bathtub and she's like scalding water?
Yeah, I think it's gonna be something like that. But the film director and the guy in charge of this one, he was handpicked by Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell to do this.
Good.
Just like Fed Alvarez was. And they're completely on board and involved with all the production. But when they were initially discussing this, they were trying to figure out how the book would work. And the director for this one came up with the idea. He said, when we encountered the book in that graveyard scene in Army of Darkness, there were actually 3 different Necronomicons. And
Oh.
I would like to make that canon, and that there actually are 3 Necronomicons. There's the one that Ash has been dealing with. There's the one that showed up in the cabin in the 2013 remake, and then there's this one. And they're all cousins of each other. They're all related, but they're not the same book.
So I guarantee. So Ash isn't going to be dead. He's going to have a copy. I hope they mention something about, even on the fucking news, it'd be so cool, about the remake with Jane Levy and her character Mia.
Oh yeah, and it's like a reference to like a murder out in a cabin.
So then we have a connection to where we tie all 3 of those together.
Yeah.
So we know where they're at in the universe, and we could go back to any of those points in time now.
No, they
at least
said
Ash's is like his story's tied up.
They said that this is going to tie everything together. Like there are questions that people have about how the series like places in terms of each other, and they're gonna try and clear some of that up with this one.
Oh, what if the end Jane Levy's character shows up and Ash shows up at like the door of the apartment to the new like main protagonist of the series? Dude. It won't happen. I know it won't. But imagine if they show up and she's got like a fucking power glove hand even.
Dude, it would be fucking sick. But it would also, honestly, depending on how the movie goes, it would completely ruin the tone that they would have set.
It'd be kind of cool, though, if we did get an after credit scene of Mia, like either how she got out or she ends up in the hospital or something, to where it's like, I still love that timeline, and I would love to see it again.
I would too, but based on what they've said, I get the feeling we're not going to get any Mia stuff, because it's apparently that is a separate time. But I could be wrong. Like I said, they said they're going to try and tie some stuff together, so maybe they will find a way to tie the 2013 film in with this one and the Ash series.
That would be so good.
But yeah, I mean, this is I haven't been this excited for a movie in a long time. I think like the last one I was this excited for was Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And so, yeah, I'm very much looking forward to this one. I'm not going to see it before you come.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
So we're all going to go see it at least me, Sam, and Natalie will not have seen it before. I don't know if you're going to see it before.
Oh, hell no.
Okay, cool.
This is an us thing. I would never.
So yeah.
I'll see it again after I see it with you and my friend Garrett. But
I'm gonna see this movie. Depending if even if it's bad, I'm probably gonna see it twice. But I can't imagine a scenario where this is not good, just because of everything I've seen. Least. Everything I've seen so far has been very promising, and the fact that Bruce Campbell and Sam Raimi are so heavily involved with the production of this. It's not like it's completely going out of their hands or anything. So their hands are very much in the cookie jar, making sure that this satisfies fans. And even the teaser for the trailer that they dropped like the day before the trailer dropped. Bruce Campbell talked about how he'd seen it.
Yes, he fucking did.
Said it was like the scariest one yet. And
I really get that from the fucking trailer, because it doesn't look like they have anything even remotely funny in it. It looks terrifying.
Yeah, exactly.
It really does.
So I'm very, very, very excited for this.
Yeah, I have no words for this. How like excited I am for this fucking movie.
And you know what we're gonna have to do? I'm gonna have to get it set up ahead of time, but I'm gonna set it up so that we can do a
late night stream on it after we see it.
Yeah, we're gonna do a stream on it after we see it, and we're just gonna talk about it.
I could not wait for that. That is going to be the highlight of my year. Honestly, seeing the movie, then immediately talking about it.
Yeah, dude. It's going to be lit. And we'll get Sam and Natalie on, too, because they're also going to want to talk about it after seeing it.
Hell yeah.
So. But yeah, day after tomorrow. Good movie.
Oh yeah, I forgot. It should have just been this week we talk about movies.
No, honestly, like I said, I'm fine with the way that this one turned out. I honestly almost am a fan sometimes if we talk about the movie, we're going to talk about it first, and then we kind of devolve into other stuff. Because, I mean, like I said, there's not a whole lot you can say about The Day After Tomorrow. It's a great movie. It's the best disaster movie. I think disaster movies you almost have more fun talking about when they're bad disaster movies.
I didn't have anything to really like again other than the wolves. Didn't have a ton to like get into this one about.
Yeah. So, I mean, it is what it is. We still talked about it. It's a great movie. If you're watching this and you haven't seen it, definitely check it
Worth
out.
it.
Um,
It's like $4 on Amazon to rent it.
yeah. So I did want to ask, disaster movie. Is that actually making fun of disaster movies?
Yes.
Is it?
Yeah, because there's like storms that are always happening, tornadoes. It also kind of makes fun of Indiana Jones,
Well,
Alvin and the Chipmunks.
I know it makes fun of a bunch of movies. That's where I wasn't sure if it was making fun of disaster films or like movies that are disasters.
There's like a whole like disaster, like storm apocalypse-esque thing going on.
Okay.
It's such a dumb movie, but I was in like this phase as a kid to where I loved those parody movies.
All right. Well, then that'll be the one we watch next week. We'll.
I own this fucking movie.
So we'll.
Kim Kardashian's in it too.
So next week we will discuss disaster movie.
Oh, I can't wait. It's on. You're gonna like. I feel like the whole stream's just gonna start out with a sigh, and it's gonna be me going on about like, oh, I love it because this, and this, and it's gonna be like, this is just fucking stupid.
Hey, I'm ready for it. I do like the scary movie franchise, and I like superhero movies, so I'm open to this one, and I know what I'm getting into, so I'm going to try and dumb myself down a little bit for watching this one.
You need to. You really do.
But yeah, so we will definitely talk about that one on the next stream. Same time, Tuesday, 11 p.m. We started a little bit late tonight because I was trying to get set up, but now that I got this set up, we should be good to go. Going forward, I'm gonna stick with Skype for now until I can find something better to use for video calls on this, because I'm still not completely happy with it the way OBS works now. But I just gotta troubleshoot with it.
Skype.
But until next time, I think I'm gonna wrap it up here. We've been going for about an hour 30, so not too bad. Honestly, more than I thought we would. But
I thought this was gonna be like a half hour, 45 minute
I did too.
And then we just started talking about shit we like.
So, but yeah. So until the next stream, I'm Devin.
I'm Beck,
and we will see you guys on the next one. Peace.